Dear listener, I am going to introduce syllabus of pharmacognosy and phytochemistry 2, which is as per PCI syllabus. I will discuss the important terminologies available in all chapters. Like as shown, this is the course outline. Chapter 1 is about metabolic pathways in higher plants and their determination. Chapter 2 is about the general introduction, composition, chemistry and chemical classes, biological sources, therapeutic uses and commercial application of secondary metabolites. Chapter 3 is about the isolation, identification and analysis of phytoconstituents. Chapter 4 is about industrial production, estimation and utilization of phytoconstituents. And the last chapter is about the basics of phytochemistry. So, I will going to briefly explain the few terminologies which is related with the chapters. Like chapter number 1, in which the few terminologies like metabolic pathways, primary metabolites and the secondary metabolites. First of all, I am going to read the content. Metabolic pathway in higher plants and their determination, brief study of basic metabolic pathways and formation of different secondary metabolites through these pathways, namely chemic acid pathway, acetate pathways. Acetate pathways contain mainly two types of pathway, acetate mevalonate and acetate malonate, and amino acid pathway. The second subtopic in this chapter is study of utilization of radioactive isotopes in the investigation of biogenetic studies. Let's see what is metabolic pathways. Chemical reactions in the cell occur in a sequence of stages called metabolic pathways. Simply, the sequence of chemical reactions means metabolic pathways. Next is first of all I am going to use the laser pointer for you. So we have discussed about metabolic pathway. Means metabolic pathway क्या है. Next is there are two important terminologies in this chapter are primary metabolites and secondary metabolites. So first of all, a primary metabolite. What is the primary metabolite? Is a kind of metabolites that is directly involved in normal growth, development and the reproduction of plant. It usually perform a physiological function in the organism, in our case in the plant. So this is about the primary metabolites. Primary metabolites means the metabolites which are synthesized by the plant and utilized by the plant itself for their growth and progress. Now what about the secondary metabolites? Secondary metabolites are chemicals produced by plant for which no role has yet been found in the growth, photosynthesis, reproduction or other primary function. Means ये क्या कहना चाहते हैं? Simply, why the particular constituents are known as the secondary metabolites? Because they are not directly related with or directly contribute in the progress or in the growth of plants. That's why that type of phytoconstituents or that type of metabolites are known as the secondary, not primary, secondary metabolite. In simple meaning, the metabolites are synthesized by plant but not utilized by plant for their primary functions like growth and reproduction. So this is about these two terminologies, primary metabolites and secondary metabolites. Now next is study of utilization of radioactive isotopes. I hope all of you know about the isotopes, and yes, we will further discuss about the isotopes in detail during the future videos. So radioactive isotope in investigation of biogenetic study. Biogenetic study means study of biogenetic pathway or biosynthetic pathway. So the technique utilized to investigate biogenetic pathway, one of the techniques is known as the tracer technique, and if we are using the radioactive isotope, the technique is known as radioactive tracer technique. So what is radioactive tracer? A radioactive tracer is a chemical compound in which one or more atoms have been replaced by radioactive isotopes. So by virtue of its radioactive decay, it can be used to explore the mechanism of chemical reaction by tracing the path that the radioisotope follow from reactant to products. In simple language my friends, क्या है ट्रेसर टेक्निक? ट्रेसर टेक्निक मीन्स हमको ट्रेस करना है, बायोसिंथेटिक पाथवे को ट्रेस करना है. कैसे ट्रेस करना है? तो क्या आइसोटोप यूज करके. आइसोटोप्स क्या होते हैं? तो आइसोटोप्स हैं वो जिनके हम कह सकते हैं कि जिनकी पोजीशन सेम होती है बट उनके न्यूट्रॉन मीन्स वी कैन से दैट नंबर ऑफ प्रोटॉन्स सेम होते हैं बट नंबर ऑफ न्यूट्रॉन्स है वो डिफरेंट होते हैं. जैसे कि कार्बन का C13 एज ए एग्जांपल आइसोटॉप से, तो C13 आइसोटॉप यूज़ करके हम पूरी जो प्रोसेस है मेटाबॉलिक पाथवे की जिसमें कार्बन आता है तो पूरी ट्रेस कर सकते हैं. एकदम सिंपल लैंग्वेज में, एकदम इजी लैंग्वेज में कहे तो कि पाथवे में स्टार्टिंग से कि कौन कौन से रिएक्टेंट है और कौन कौन से प्रोडक्ट है, अगर हमको ये जानना हो तो इस तरह के आइसोटॉप्स यूज़ होते हैं कि जो पूरी केमिकल रिएक्शन को एक्सप्लोर कर सके हमारे सामने, हम उसका डिटेल रिएक्शन समझ सके. सो दैट्स ऑल अबाउट दिस चैप्टर 1. चैप्टर 2, तो इन चैप्टर 2 namely general introduction, composition, chemistry and chemical classes, biological sources, therapeutic uses and commercial application of secondary metabolites. So one by one we are going to understand the meaning of various secondary metabolites. The first secondary metabolites is alkaloids. So what is alkaloids? Alkaloids are a class of naturally occurring organic compounds that mostly contain basic nitrogen atoms. Means आपको याद रखना है nitrogen containing phytoconstituent generally are known as alkaloids. Next, phenylpropanoids. The phenylpropanoids are a diverse family of organic compounds that are synthesized by the plant from the amino acids phenylalanine and tyrosine. Means simply जो phenylalanine और tyrosine में से जो फाइटो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स डिराइव होते हैं, जो ग्रुप डिराइव होता है उसको फिनाइलप्रोपेनोइड कहते हैं. ना नेक्स्ट इज फ्लेवोनोइड्स. द फ्लेवोनोइड्स आर डिफाइंड एज polyphenolic compounds by virtue of their chemical structure which contain 2 phenyl rings. Means flavonoids contains 2 phenyl rings linked by a propane bridge resulting in characteristic 15 carbon. Means C6 C3 C6 means 6 and 6 12 and 3. This skeletons always present in flavonoids, generally present in flavonoids. Next is steroids. All of you know the steroids. What is steroids? The steroid core structure is typically composed of 17 carbon atoms bonded in 4 fused ring. 3 6-member cyclohexane ring and 1 5-member cyclopentane ring. In other term, I can say that cyclopentanoperhydrophenane means steroids. Cardiac glycosides means glycoside used in treatment of mild to moderate heart failure. Let's see, this is interesting. Glycoside is different chapter, and there is cardiac glycoside, which is the part of glycoside is in with the steroids, because the structure of cardiac glycoside is similar to, means the carbon skeleton of the cardiac glycoside is somewhat similar to molecule like steroids and terpenoids. Next is terpenoids. The terpenoids are derivative of terpenes, and here is the triterpenoids, means derivative of triterpenes. So what is triterpene? Triterpenes are the class of chemical compound composed of 3 terpene units, which is the molecular formula C30H48. They may also be thought of as consist of 6 isoprene unit. Means हम कह सकते हैं कि 3 टर्पिन यूनिट है या एक टर्पिन यूनिट बनता है 2 आइसोप्रीन यूनिट से, मीन्स 6 isoprene units. Volatile oils. So volatile oils are the odorous and volatile principle of plants. Means volatile principle of plants है उनको volatile oils कहते हैं. Tannins, तो all of you know, I hope कि tannins means tannins are the class of astringent polyphenolic biomolecule. जब जैसे भी tannins word याद है आपको chemistry में polyphenolic याद रखना है. Polyphenolic biomolecule that bind to and precipitate proteins and various other organic compound including amino acids and alkaloid amino acid और बहुत सारे organic compound को precipitate करते हैं. resins, yes, interesting class. Actually plants secrete resins for their protective benefits in response to injury. So resin is a thick and sticky clear substance which are generally secreted by the plant for their protection or after the injury. Glycosides, so all of you know, I think glycosides, meaning of glycosides are made up of the 2 moieties. One is a glycon, another one is a glycon. Glycon means sugar, a glycon means the genin. The glycosidic bond are always there. Now last, iridoid. Iridoids are the type of monoterpenoids in the general form of cyclopentanopiran. Cyclopentanopiran आपको याद रखना है iridoid के लिए. और terpenoids as I already told, derivative of terpenes and naphthaquinones, तो उसका chemical class दे दिया है, naphthaquinones. Chapter 3 is about the isolation, identification and analysis of phytoconstituent. So all of you know that what is the meaning of isolation. Isolation means separation of phytoconstituent in most probably in pure form. Identification means by using the TLC, thin layer chromatography technique or the chemical test to identify the particular phytoconstituents. And analysis means there are the 2 type of analysis, qualitative and quantitative. So qualitatively, first of all, understand which type of phytoconstituent or which types of phytoconstituent are present, and the quantitative analysis are there to determine the quantity of the phytoconstituent by various methods. And already we have discussed about the terpenoids, glycosides, alkaloids and resins. Chapter 4 is about the industrial production, estimation and utilization of phytoconstituents, namely choline, sandoside, artemisinin, diosgenin, digoxin, atropine, podophyllitoxin, caffeine, taxol, vincristine and vinblastine. Now starting with industrial production means isolation or separation or extraction of active constituent from drug on a large scale by industry. Simply production of phytoconstituent on a large scale. As we know, estimation means quantitative characterization of phytoconstituent by means of various sophisticated method. Generally, What is the meaning of estimation? Means is quantitative characterization of phytoconstituent by using various sophisticated methods. And utilization means use of phytoconstituent, which include the therapeutic use as well as the pharmaceutical use. So in 3 words combining, industrial production means large scale production, estimation means the quantitative determination, utilization means uses, various uses. And the last is about basics of phytochemistry. So modern method of extraction, application of latest technique like spectroscopy, chromatography, electrophoresis in the isolation, purification and identification of crude drug. So which are the modern methods of extraction? So I will give you the example like the microwave assisted extraction, ultrasound assisted extraction, supercritical fluid extraction, extraction by ionic liquids, enzyme assisted extraction, pressurized liquid or fluid extraction, etc. These are the modern methods of extraction. I hope all of you know about the spectroscopy, chromatography and electrophoresis. If you don't know, we will further discuss in future videos. And purification, yes, purification means isolation of constituent in pure form. Identification means to qualitatively determine the particular phytoconstituents, a particular substance. So dear listener, if you wish, ask your question as a comments. If possible, I will give you the answer, or I will going to prepare video for that. Subscribe this channel if you wish and press bell icon for updates. Thank you.